Welcome to the short video for class number 7 for Introduction to Philosophy, Summer 2024 edition. So, still, not everyone has attended the class. As I mentioned before, with this online class, asynchronous, so you just have to do at least one thing in order to be marked as attending. And as I suggested before, syllabus quiz, good choice. Stars pre-survey, really good choice, because all you have to do is do the survey, submit the screenshot or text, and then it's automatic, 100% for the pre-survey. And then I'd go in and mark the person as attending. Tomorrow I'll mark make the last attendance announcement and mark those who have not been attending as not attending. And of course, if one does attend, past that point, let me know, and I'll mark you as attending, after doing something, of course. So, in terms of the other stuff for the content, so class number 7. So, the content is the introduction to part 2, so which covers our transition from part 1 to part 2, and there's more introduction to part 2 continued. And in this part, we take a look at, looking at the questions of the nature and existence of God, beginning, of course, with the nature and existence of God. And then we look at one of the combined methods, which is using what is called a regress. We'll look at two types, the infinite and the circular. And I know some people are thinking, hey, isn't a circular infinite because it goes around infinitely? And the answer is technically yes, but we separate out the circular regress from the infinite regress. There's also the reductio ad absurdum, where you would show that because something leads to an absurdity, it can't be true. Or if denying something leads to an absurdity, that it must be true. Now, the first of the philosophers we'll look at, well, actually two who look at the philosopher and a criticism, will be our good dead friend, St. Anselm. And he presents the classic ontological argument. And it's more complicated than this, but ontological arguments, crudely put, they work like this. So the first premise is that God is perfect. That's the assumption. And then the reasoning is that if we assume God is perfect, then if he didn't exist, he wouldn't be perfect, because he would lack that quality. But God is perfect, so he must exist. And essentially the idea is arguing from God's perfection, essentially, to the necessity of his existing. And there's a lot more to it than that, but that's the gist of it. Now, Ganilo, who's a fellow monk to St. Anselm, wasn't arguing against God's existence, because one important thing to know when arguing about anything, especially when it comes to something like religion, not all arguments for things that are true or what you believe need to be good, because it's obviously possible to have bad arguments for things that are true or bad arguments for things that a person believes in, because the quality of the reasoning is distinct from the truth of the conclusion. So you can have bad arguments for true conclusions. You can, of course, have, bad arguments for false conclusions. And so Ganilo is not going after God. He's going after St. Anselm's argument. And one thing about being like a philosopher, either professionally or personally, is being able to separate out the assessment of reasoning from the assessment of, say, one's beliefs. There are many things that I believe, and there can be terrible arguments for those, and I don't accept bad arguments for things that I believe just because I believe them. So Ganilo argues against Anselm, not against God, but trying to show that Anselm's argument doesn't work. So Ganilo doesn't conclude that God doesn't exist. He essentially says Anselm's argument doesn't work. Now Anselm replies back to Ganilo, trying to counter that, and in terms of who won, well, as they say, it's up to you to look at it, make kind of your opinion on that. But obviously St. Anselm is a saint, and Ganilo is not. So I guess we can kind of see from the standpoint of sainting who won that one. In terms of the coursework, there's the quiz covering the intro to part 2, and a quiz that covers both St. Anselm and Ganilo. And as always with the quizzes and exams and stuff, you don't have to do them like right now. Good thing to do is look at the due date and do them by then to get them out of the way. But of course you should do them and must do them, if you're going to do them, before the available until date. So that's the stuff for class number 7. So have a good day, and I'll see you in the future.